start lesson 4. The wheat is cheaper too. Say part 2. Today we will read this lesson. Okay, and tomorrow I will explain this lesson. Okay, so let's read. So Ashok said, so the merchant couldn't get any money out of the farmer after all. So David said, how could he? The farmer didn't cast any doubt on his story. He was really very clever. So Ashok said, if the merchant is clever, he won't cast any doubt on the farmer's story either. So that is how the story is going to end. So Ravi said, no, the farmer made the merchant pay him. David said, did the merchant cast doubt on the farmer's story? So Ravi said, no. David said, then how could he make the merchant pay him any money at all? So Ravi said, don't ask me, listen to the farmer's story. Thank you for this interesting story, said the farmer. But mine is simpler. Shall I begin? The merchant said, yes, please. The farmer began the story. My father was a farmer. He had a fine horse and a fine saddle to put on it. Every Sunday he used to go on his horse to the market in a neighboring village. People admired the horse and its saddle, and they used to say, what a fine horse, what a fine saddle. One Sunday, my father put the saddle on the horse and rode to the market. When he returned home, he found that the horse had a sore on its back. Was it very big? The merchant asked. Yes, the farmer replied, as big as the palm of your hand. Do you know how it got the sore? How can I? Asked the merchant, looking very clever. I only know that the sore was as big as the palm of my hand. It must have given the poor animal a lot of pain. No, it didn't, though it was as big as the palm of your hand. My father didn't know that the saddle was torn and it had caused the sore. It was the month of June and there was a storm. The poor horse got a lot of dust into the sore, and with the dust some grains of wheat too. Then it rained, and so the grains of wheat began to sprout. What a wonder, said the merchant. But he quickly added, it is quite possible. Grains of wheat sprout when they get a chance. Yes, they sprouted and grew, and then what a fine crop we had. My father had to hire 20 men to reap it. I had done it myself a number of times. Sometimes I used to hire even 40 men when there was a good crop. We had to hire quite a good number of men for reaping. Yes, we had a very good crop and we reaped 40,000 kilos of wheat off the horse back. How lucky your father was! Very lucky indeed, but your father, was poor and starving those days. So he came to my father and begged him to give him 75 kilos of wheat. The merchant was very angry. His father never starved, but he couldn't cast any doubt on the story. So he had to make an effort to hold his tongue. My father continued the farmer, was a kind and good neighbor. So when he saw your father starving, he gave him 75 kilos of wheat. Your father owes it to my father even to this day. Sometimes I want to go to law about it. The merchant began running his thumb up and down his fingers. He was calculating. Why are you running your thumb up and down your fingers? Are you calculating something? Yes, I am, the merchant replied. Then he said to himself, the wheat costs less than 100 rupees, so I shall pay him the price of the wheat. He turned to the farmer and giving him 75 rupees, said, here is the money for the wheat. Thank you, said the farmer. You are very fair and honest, and I like the bargain. So Ravi said, and now, David, isn't the wheat cheaper? So David said, yes, I don't want to cast doubt on your story. I agree that the wheat is cheaper. Okay. So write glossary in your fair copy and read this lesson again. Tomorrow I will explain this lesson.